Okay, so this should be the third and final update video to get me all caught up with the events so far. So where we left off, we were on the IVF schedule and I had started taking birth control. So Tuesday was the scheduled SHG and trial embryo transfer day. My mom is retired and I took the entire day off. No, I didn't. I worked the morning. I worked a half day and she picked me up at work and we went together to the appointment. So as you recall, my low AMH just devastated me, and my doctor told me basically not to worry, that AMH is not the end-all be-all. It does not necessarily automatically mean that I have low ovarian reserve, even though that's how I took it, and that's what I started telling everyone. I'm a bad patient. She said age is the most important factor and I'm young. That's so nice to hear. You know, you don't get into your 30s and then get used to people calling you young anymore. But I'm 32 and she needed one more piece of information, which was my antral follicle count, and she could get that from the ultrasound that they would do during the SHG. So this was sort of like it. This was the big day for me. I knew that this would determine if there was going to be any chance of IVF working for us, if I was going to produce any eggs. I had been preparing myself for the fact that I might only get to transfer one embryo because that might be the only embryo we have. I might find out that IVF is going to fail for us and we won't have any frozen embryos to transfer if it does fail. And then we'll have to do an egg donor, and we wouldn't be able to do that for a long time because we would still owe all of the thousands of dollars for this IVF, even though it's not going to work. So I had myself all worked up on the inside. I was very positive though, because I was still sort of riding that wave of happiness of finding out that we got on the schedule. So, and my mom, you know, my mom and my brother and my dad, pretty much just being around them makes me happy. So it was good to have her there with me. So, you know, you go in, and I was afraid they were going to treat me as if this was an actual embryo transfer, so I thought I was going to have a full bladder. I was very relieved to find out that I had to empty my bladder. And they ran a pregnancy test with my urine because they don't ever want to put a catheter through your cervix if there's a chance that you're pregnant. And then the ultrasound nurse basically told me everything that was about to happen. She said, I'm going to do a very basic transvaginal ultrasound. Then the doctor will come in and perform the trial embryo transfer, which is it's sometimes called a catheter check. I didn't know if anyone had known that. The trial embryo transfer involves her inserting a catheter and she'll take it right back out. She'll get another catheter and then we'll begin the SHG, and that's where she will inject the saline solution and we can watch your uterus fill up on the screen. So, number one, transvaginal ultrasound. My mom had to almost keep from laughing because they basically roll a giant condom onto the wand, and I had always kind of laughed it off when, you know, on the news you'll hear people call a transvaginal ultrasound invasive and demeaning and whatever. So I didn't know what to expect. But so that I would be comfortable, we're about to get graphic, by the way. I didn't warn you. The ultrasound tech asked me to guide it in first. So, you know, you're laying there on your back, your feet are up in stirrups in the position, and I had to reach down under my blanket and guide this ultrasound wand into myself. And I gotta admit that it did feel a little weird at first, because here's my mom on my left, here's the ultrasound tech on my right, and they're both right there, and I'm putting an object into my vagina. So once that was over though, and she almost immediately picked up my uterus on the screen, I was fine. I was like, oh my God, there's my uterus. I've never seen it on a screen before. And I thought, this has to be the most incredible experience when you finally get to see a baby in there. Because here I am getting excited over seeing my uterus, and it looked normal. Because I know what to look for thanks to you guys. I know to look for, you know, webbing, and I know to look for polyps and growths and abnormal shapes, and I didn't see any of that right away. So I didn't have to worry about what I was seeing. She did take measurements and video and still frames before telling me what was going on. So I basically had to sit there and just relax. Then she turned the screen more toward me and said, here's what I'm looking at. Here's your uterus. Everything looks good. Here's your right ovary. Here is your left ovary. And I got a little bit concerned because my right ovary was just beautiful. Perfectly, you know, round, dark, cavernous. It was obvious it was the right ovary. The left one, however, was a little more difficult to find. And it seemed as if it wasn't as big and it wasn't as well shaped. But like I said, I don't know what I'm looking at. But she was nice enough to tell me at every step of the way, that looks normal, that looks normal. And I know they're not going to do that in a regular OB's office. So she left me alone. Mom and I goofed off, and then the doctor came in, and she did not waste any time, which is probably her experience. It's better to just jump right in. So she walks in, and before her butt is even on the chair, she's saying, I know that you're concerned about your low AMH. We've talked about it on the phone, and I told you that the number one important thing is your age. And she points at me, and she goes, and you're young. Here we go. The other piece of information that I needed to determine your ovarian reserve was your antral follicle count, and I counted 18. Ugh. Sorry. And that's what I did in the appointment. In fact, I started to say, are you shitting me? And then I apologized for almost cursing, and then I just cried. I just sat there, just like this, nodding my head, and she continued to talk. And then my mom started to cry a little bit, and then when my mom gets nervous, she starts to talk. And so she starts going, this girl since the age of 5 has wanted to know where babies come from, and this is just such great blah blah blah, you know. It was a nervous chatter, and so I just sat there crying, quiet. My mom had her nervous chatter going on, and it was just the most incredible news. I really was, I was prepared for there to be like none. I would have been happy to hear that there were 3 or 4 on each side. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that she would say 18. Now, I'm no dummy. I know that that doesn't mean we're gonna have 18 eggs. I know that. Because I do still have the low AMH, that means that my follicles will not respond to medicines the same way as a typical woman. So, although the follicles on deck, as I'm going to start calling them, although they are there, I know that not all of them are going to respond, not all of them are going to wake up, but it gave me hope. For the first time ever, I thought really happy thoughts, like, okay, maybe this is gonna work. No, this is gonna work. And not only is it gonna work, I'm gonna have enough to freeze, and we're gonna have more than one kid. And you know, all of these good thoughts were flooding in all at once, and so that's why I could do nothing but just sit there and cry. Oh, goodness, girl. Ooh. Okay. So, that all almost catches us up. The last thing is just that so far, piece by piece, all of my STD tests are coming in negative. My husband's came in negative. I did screw up one thing, which is the day of orientation was my last thyroid pill, my last Synthroid pill. And I totally misunderstood. I thought in order to refill it, I had to have a blood test, so I didn't refill it. Ugh. And then knowing that we had an appointment Thursday and another one quickly following on Tuesday, they waited to draw my blood until Tuesday. And that means by the time they got the thyroid results, I had been off of the medicine for 6 days. So of course my numbers went right back up to where they were. I think I was 3.6 the first time, now I'm 3.7. So I got a little, you know, rap on the knuckles. Oh, no, you're supposed to refill it. You know, don't get off this medicine. And then she reminded me to take it in the mornings on an empty stomach and to not take it with your prenatal. She said the iron specifically, but I've also read calcium can inhibit the absorption of the Synthroid in your system. So first thing in the morning, empty stomach, drink lots of water, don't take it with your prenatal. That's fine. I take the prenatal at night anyway because it upsets my stomach. Ugh. Ever since starting prenatals and then birth control, I consistently have indigestion and I get this feeling like my food isn't going all the way down. It's just stuck in my chest. And I'm frequently constipated. Even though my prescription prenatal is very low iron, I'm just popping stool softeners and fiber capsules and going crazy. So that's it. You're all caught up. Today I sent off the final paperwork to the finance company for getting financially cleared. That doesn't cover the medicines. It does cover IVF and ICSI. And it was just like taking out a car loan, so we will make payments on that for at least the next 60 months. But we can pay it off sooner without penalty. We could have financed the medicines, but the people on the phone told me if you finance your medicines through us, you will have to use our pharmacy, which is a mail order only pharmacy, which means I know nothing about their customer service. And not only that, but you will not get any discounts on it. You will have to pay retail price. So we chose not to do that. The clinic nurse told me that if we pay for the medicines ourselves, we will get a discount. We have various credit cards. They all have some sort of balance. So my parents were generous enough to allow us to use one of their credit cards that has a zero balance to just pay for the medicines outright, and then we will make payments to my parents. I will probably make an entire video later on about the cost of IVF, but I just wanted to let you know that we are to the point of getting financially cleared, and I just sent off the last bit of paperwork this morning, so things are going to start moving really quickly, and hopefully I will have lots of good things to tell you from this point forward. And I'll do a better job of filming on a regular basis. I miss the interaction. I really appreciate all the love and prayers and support that you give. This community is the most incredible thing that has ever happened to me. And I will see you all again soon. Bye.